It is Monday at 2:17 in the afternoon, and you have finished everything you were supposed to do. The report is complete. The email has been sent. The numbers have been checked twice. Nothing urgent is waiting. That should feel good. Instead, you look around before relaxing. Someone nearby is typing quickly. Another person is walking into a meeting. Your manager is still online. So you reopen the report and scroll through it again, even though you already know it is finished. You are not improving the work anymore. You are making sure you still look occupied. Most people discover this rule at some point. Doing the job matters, but the visible signs of doing the job matter too. Sometimes they matter more, because finishing early does not always earn you time back. It may simply prove that you are available for another assignment. So people learn to control the moment when their work appears finished. A task is completed on Tuesday but sent on Thursday. A simple email is left open for another hour. A meeting ends early, but everyone remains because leaving first feels strangely noticeable. Nobody explains this rule during training. People learn it by watching what happens to the efficient person. The efficient person finishes, speaks up, and receives another task. The person who appears occupied keeps the task they already have. The lesson arrives quietly. Speed creates capacity. Visible capacity attracts work. So the next time you finish early, you do not announce it immediately. You make a few minor changes. You check something that does not need checking. You wait until the result looks like it required the amount of time everyone expected. This is not really about avoiding work. It is about avoiding the penalty for making work look easy. That is the first strange reward inside many workplaces. Finishing early does not always make you look efficient. Sometimes it only makes you look free. And once looking free becomes dangerous, looking busy becomes part of the job. By Tuesday, the same rule follows you home. Remote work removes the office, but it does not remove the need to appear present. It replaces physical signals with digital ones. Now there is a green dot beside your name. The dot cannot see whether you solved a difficult problem. It cannot see whether you understood a confusing request, prevented a mistake, or made a process faster. It only knows whether your computer has noticed you recently. Imagine spending 90 focused minutes completing the most important task of the day. You send the result, step away for lunch, and your status changes. A few minutes later, a message appears. Are you available? Nothing is necessarily wrong, but the question tells you what was noticed, not the completed task, the absence of the green dot. Meanwhile, someone else can remain online for 8 hours, attend 4 meetings, reply quickly, and still finish very little. Their activity is visible throughout the day, so they appear engaged. The system is not measuring value. It is measuring signals that are easy to collect. Online status, response time, calendar activity, messages sent. These signals are not useless, but they are incomplete. A quick reply can show attentiveness. It can also show that someone is constantly interrupting their actual work. A full calendar can show responsibility. It can also show that the person has no uninterrupted time to produce anything. Everyone understands this. Nobody truly believes a green dot measures judgment, concentration, or creativity, but people still respond to it because it offers certainty. The work itself may be complicated. The dot is simple. So employees begin working for 2 audiences. They do the real task for the company. Then they produce visible activity for the system watching the company. They reply sooner than necessary. They remain in meetings that no longer need them. They keep communication tools open while trying to concentrate elsewhere. Eventually, availability begins to look like productivity. That is the payoff of the green dot. It does not prove that work is happening. It proves that the worker has learned how to remain visible. And visibility creates the next problem, because the person who is always available soon becomes the person everyone uses. By Wednesday, one employee has become known as reliable. They answer questions clearly. They finish difficult tasks. When something breaks, they usually know what to do. At first, this feels like recognition. Then the requests begin arriving from every direction. A coworker needs help. A manager has something urgent. Another team remembers that this person solved a similar problem 6 months ago. Their name starts appearing in conversations they were never part of. The work keeps moving toward them for one simple reason. They can handle it. Now compare that with someone who always appears overwhelmed. Their calendar is full. Their replies mention competing priorities. Every new request seems to arrive at the worst possible moment. People hesitate before giving them more. One employee receives more work because they appear capable. The other receives protection because they appear overloaded. Neither outcome was formally designed, but both employees notice it. The reliable person begins waiting before replying. They stop volunteering immediately. They finish tasks without advertising how quickly they finished. They are not becoming less responsible. They are learning that visible capacity has consequences. This is where looking busy becomes more than a performance. It becomes protection. If calm suggests availability, people display pressure. If speed attracts assignments, people control the speed others can see. If solving problems turns you into the permanent owner of those problems, you become careful about which problems you solve publicly. The company may say it wants initiative, efficiency, and ownership, but the daily reward system can say something very different. Show initiative, and the task may become yours forever. Work efficiently, and more work will fill the space. Take ownership, and people may stop taking responsibility around you. That does not mean employees should avoid doing good work. It means the system can accidentally teach its best workers to hide the evidence of how capable they are. The reliable employee wanted to become valuable. They succeeded. Then value became a reason to keep adding weight. That is the third reward. Competence should create trust, freedom, and better opportunities. Instead, it often creates demand. And when demand is the reward for competence, hiding capacity begins to feel like common sense. Thursday begins with a small problem that almost nobody sees. A process has one unnecessary step. Information is being copied manually. A mistake is likely to happen eventually. One employee notices it and fixes the process before anything goes wrong. The task becomes faster. The risk disappears. Nobody needs an emergency meeting. Nobody stays late. The result is silence. Now imagine the same problem is not fixed. Weeks later, the mistake finally happens. A deadline is threatened. Several people join a call. Messages begin moving quickly. Someone works late and eventually resolves the crisis. The next morning, that person is thanked for stepping up. The praise may be deserved. Solving a real crisis under pressure is valuable. But look at what the workplace could see. It saw the urgent messages. It saw the late hours. It saw the meeting. It saw the recovery. The employee who prevented the crisis created none of those signals. Their best work removed the evidence that their work was needed. This is one of the hardest forms of value to recognize. Prevention looks like nothing happened. Simplification looks like less activity. Good planning looks like an ordinary day. A visible rescue is easier to remember because it has a beginning, a conflict, and an ending. It produces a story people can repeat. Quiet prevention removes the story. That difference changes behavior. People become known for handling emergencies, while the person reducing emergencies may remain unnoticed. Broken processes survive because they generate visible work. Complicated systems create meetings, updates, coordinators, and urgent decisions. Fixing the system may remove all of that. The company says it wants fewer problems, but fewer problems also means fewer dramatic examples of effort. So visible struggle receives attention, while invisible control receives less. The strangest part is that the organization may believe it is rewarding results. Often, it is rewarding evidence. The person who prevented the crisis produced the better result. The person who repaired the crisis produced the clearer proof. That is the fourth reward. The workplace remembers the fire because everyone saw the smoke. It forgets the person who removed the match. By Friday, all of these stories meet inside the same status meeting. Each person explains what they worked on. The easiest updates are visible. Meetings attended, requests completed, problems handled, hours spent. The harder achievements are more difficult to describe. A mistake that never happened, a decision that removed future work. A task completed quickly because someone understood it well. A process that now requires fewer people and fewer updates. Those results matter, but they do not naturally produce much evidence. This is why looking busy survives even when nearly everyone knows it is unreliable. The company needs simple ways to understand complicated work. Managers need something they can report. Employees need proof that they are contributing, and sometimes employees need the same weak signals to protect themselves during slower days. Everyone participates because the performance occasionally helps everyone. The problem begins when the proof of work becomes more valuable than the result of work. Then people stay online instead of recovering. They attend meetings instead of concentrating. They send updates instead of making progress. They stretch simple tasks because finishing creates more demand. They allow complexity to remain because complexity produces visible activity. The workplace becomes filled with effort that exists mainly to reassure the workplace, and the people inside it become exhausted, not only from working, but from constantly demonstrating that they are working. Real productivity requires judgment. What changed because this person was here? What became easier? What problem disappeared? Was the result worth the time? Did the work create value or merely create evidence? Those questions take more effort than checking a calendar or watching a status light. But without them, the organization keeps rewarding the signs it can see. Now return to Monday at 2:17. The report was finished, the email was sent, nothing important remained, but the employee stayed visible until 5. The file was reopened. A few small changes were made. One more update was sent. At 4:59, the report finally looked as though it had taken the entire day. The employee was not confused about the work. They understood the system perfectly. At 2:17, the real task was complete. For the rest of the afternoon, they completed the second task. They made finished work look unfinished until it was safe to stop. That is what the workplace was actually rewarding, not better work. Visible effort at the expected time.